Thank you, Brian. Well, we have had stacks of calls about your own celestial sightings, and we will be coming to the phone in just a moment, but we're joined by angels expert Jacky Newcomb. Welcome, Jacky.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so what is an angel and what is an angel's role?
Right, well, people have lots of different expectations of what an angel is to them, but traditionally an angel would be a messenger from God. A protector. People think of angels as being a protector, but very often I run a column for a magazine and people write in their stories to me, and I've discovered that there are very different sorts of experiences that people are having. Sometimes people are having visits from what I would class as a typical angel, and sometimes they're visits from loved ones who have died, so two completely different things.
And is it always a tangible thing, or can a visit from an angel just be a good feeling?
Oh, it varies greatly. I mean, sometimes people see sort of 20-foot angels with wings and the whole 9 yards, but other times it's something very subtle, a feeling, a smell, a touch, a nagging voice when you're in danger. Any number of different things that people will call an angel experience to them.
You've seen your angels since you were quite small?
Well, yeah, as a small child I used to wake up at night and see something in the room, which I now think of as being a sort of a guardian spirit or a spirit guide. But
not the same as an angel?
No, angels and spirit guides come from two completely different streams of energy. It is thought that spiritual guides are spirits that have been incarnated before, that have previously lived in a body. So sort of the same as we do ourselves, but angels are considered a much higher level energy.
So they weren't once human?
They've never been human.
Okay.
No.
We had a call from Sarah, who's in London, who says that her mum was dying in hospital in Southampton, used to tell the visitors of a nurse who visited and sat on her bed. Mum thought that she was an angel. Dad came back early one evening and the nurse in full uniform told him her name, gave him a book, and when he went to give it back, there was no one with that name on the nursing staff, and her mum died not long after that.
That actually is surprisingly common. People who are dying regularly see spirits of either loved ones who've already passed over, or nurses, nuns, somebody who's a visitor. Somebody comes to visit them every day and talks to them every day, and then where's that lovely lady? Oh, it's nobody of that description here. We've not. Very common, very common. Yeah.
It was interesting listening to Raj there. Of course, I mean, he's looking at it from a clinical, psychiatric point of view. But when people have had a very comforting experience that they can't explain, why should an expert poo-poo it and take that comfort away?
Yeah, it doesn't make any logical sense, does it? I've done some work with grief counsellors because I have a lot of people write to me on my website and to my column and tell me about visits they've had after somebody's died, either of what they would call an angel or a loved one who's died. And I've discovered that the healing will often start once that person has appeared to them. So somebody who's really deeply grieving and can't find a way out of that will have their grandfather or an angel or dad comes to visit them, sits on the bed, and they'll say, you know, I love you, I'm still with you, I'm still here. And that will mark the change in their healing. They'll start to sort of move on from that time. And they'll share that very intimate, very special moment with somebody, and they'll tell them, oh, you've made it up, it's because you're grieving. And that doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it's not kind, is it? Even if it is just a trick in your mind, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter whether you believe in it. And this is where the work with the grief counsellors is very important to me, because I don't... It doesn't matter whether you believe in it. That's not relevant. What is important is that you acknowledge that experience as real to that person.
Well, we've had lots of calls, so phone lines are buzzing. We'll take another short break, and in just a sec we'll be hearing more of your celestial story. So don't go away.
Welcome back. Now, in just a minute, we will be taking your calls and our angels phone in. But first, here's what you've got to look forward to in tomorrow's show.
Do you believe in extraterrestrials? That's the question we're asking tomorrow. Brian Capron opens his own X-Files when he investigates UFO sightings and alien abductions.
And do phone masts give you cancer? We meet the woman who is so convinced that she's taking on the mobile phone giants. Plus, of course, Christine Hamilton is back to give us all the goss on the celebrities in the outback. But back to today's phone, and we have got Jacky Newcomb here, who's an angel expert. Lots of you have phoned him. This is a terrific story. Clarice from London. Clarice, good morning. Are you on the phone?
Good morning, Fern. Good morning, Phil.
Morning,
Hello.
Clarice.
Good morning.
Please tell us your story. It's fabulous.
Well, I was burgled quite recently. The pain is still with me.
It was only last Friday, wasn't it?
Yes, it's very painful. But a lot of my memories were stolen. Very small things, no monetary value whatsoever, but it's just a sentimental value to me and my family.
And then what happened?
I was nagged and nagged in my head. It was as if something was going round and round and round, telling me to go to a little fair that was happening on the Sunday. I was physically sick. I was actually on tablets at the time and didn't really want to go anywhere myself. But something in my head was saying, go. And I went. And to my astonishment, some of my items were actually there.
Had you ever been to that fair before, or fairs like that?
No, never been. I've never been at all. It was just something completely out of the blue, and I just went. It was really, really strange.
And what did you find there?
I found my grandma's brooch. I found a ring that was very sentimental to me from an old boyfriend who's passed away now. And things like that that are completely irreplaceable. The only thing I can explain is it was as if the memories from these things were calling me. I know that sounds really, really strange, but that's how I feel.
Jacky, you love this story,
Yeah, I do
don't you?
love this story. Hello, Clarice.
Hello, Jacky. Good morning.
Yeah, I get a lot of stories like this sent to me on my website. I can't explain it. It's a very strong gut instinct. Where does that information come from? I don't know. I don't have any other explanation for it.
No, I mean, I went all lightheaded, and like I felt, oh dear, what's happening to me? I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't.
And are they the most precious things, or are there still some precious things missing?
There's still some precious things missing. Presents from friends I've known since childhood, things like that are still missing, but at least I have a few things back, and I can only be grateful for that.
Exactly.
It's an amazing story,
Thank
Clarice.
you,
Thank you
Clarice.
for that.
Thank
I
you,
hope you get
everyone.
another one of those feelings, another one of those voices,
Yeah.
and
Thank you very
find
much
the rest
indeed.
of it.
Thank you, everybody.
We've got Elizabeth in Yorkshire now. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning.
Hi. I'm sorry to hear. My husband died in January. Yeah.
He did.
And what did you find?
Well, before he died, it started off when my daughter and myself read an article about feathers. And about 4 or 5 days later, my daughter found a feather on her settee where she'd got up to make herself a cup of coffee. Then I found a feather, and we've shown them to our other daughter a few days later, and 3 feathers were in the box that we'd kept them in. I feel very close to those now. In fact, I sleep with them in the little plastic box under my pillow each night.
Because the significance of feathers is that an angel has called and left a calling card.
Uh-huh.
And this was straight after your husband died.
No, this was before he died.
Ah.
But after he died, in fact, 3 nights ago, I'd been reading a book on angels, and I went to bed and was reading for about 10 minutes, then turned over, put the light out, and sort of said out loud, if there are angels, is there some way you can prove it to me? And within a second, the room was filled with every colour you could imagine of lights or stars flashing in and out, and wherever I looked, it was just one mass of colour. It was incredible. Now, I don't remember going to sleep, and I don't remember the stars disappearing, but that, but it's a memory that I will never forget.
Elizabeth, are you open to the suggestion that it might just have been your imagination, you may have been dreaming, it might just have been something with your eyes?
I'm open to that, but it was within a second of me putting the lights out and just lying there. I hadn't even turned over to snuggle up to go to sleep. I was just lying on my back, just thinking about this. So I know I definitely was not asleep.
Jacky, the feathers appear a lot.
Yes. It's a classic sign. In fact, when I first became interested, I also sort of asked for a sign, an angelic sign, and I had feathers everywhere, and they're kind of followed by drifts. I felt like somebody sort of cut a duvet open and was sort of wafting them in my path. I walked into a supermarket one day, and it just looked like somebody had emptied a pillowcase on the floor, and I thought, okay, I get it, you're there, there's something going on.
Funny, we were saying, just after Jerome had just as he was leaving, he said, oh, for funny, we'll see if we see feathers. And he said, well, I've just had lots of feathers. You blew the bag.
Yeah.
all the white feathers came out. I know that was a gag, but at the same, isn't it odd that that was a connection,
Yes,
a coincidence?
But it's not like one of those, and I'm not a sceptic, but I've just jumped to that side. It's not one of those things that if you have your heart broken, every song is about love, everything where you look, someone's in love, and then of course if you got that your mind on sort of feathers, then suddenly you see them.
Yeah, well, that's also very possible. But these experiences often happen after somebody has asked for something.
Yes.
And the lights occur, flickering lights, coloured lights, sparkly lights, feathers, music. I had a very strange music experience myself. Music suddenly appeared from nowhere, and the lights particularly.
Oh, lovely. If anyone's watching now and feathers start to appear, only perhaps in the next hour or two, and you haven't got a feather sofa and you haven't just beaten the duvet and you haven't got feather, you know what I'm saying, then do let us know, because it'd be interesting to see how many of you have had that.
Ruth says that she's phoned in and says she doesn't believe so much in angels, but she was having a half-hour Reiki session, and someone put their hand over hers. It felt very warm and comforting. Wasn't a practitioner because she could feel her hands elsewhere, but she mentioned it and said, I work with angels, and that was your guardian angel.
Yeah.
So she just bumped into her.
Reiki's a healing system, and people are lying down in a very relaxed state. So I feel it almost opens them up to the possibility of these types of experience. So it's very common with Reiki and healing sessions.
Absolutely fascinating.
Oh, they can feel that the practitioner can work on one end of them and they can feel something touching the
Life would be less rich without these, even if we're imagining them. Life would be less rich.
Listen, if it makes you feel better, if it eases you however you happen to feel it. We asked everybody today who's been on the programme, who's phoned the programme, we've asked everyone who's been involved, do you believe in angels? Our angel poll, 80% said yes, they do believe in angels, 12% said no, and 8% said they weren't sure.